One of my students yesterday, quite a young student, wrote me an essay about one of his friends who stopped the class with a thunderous and significant wind passing event. And I'm afraid the lad who wrote the essay was incautious in the language he used and was very Anglo-Saxon. Chaucer would have been proud of him. I was a little shocked, actually. But when he read it out, the rest of the class was greatly entertained. And I suppose for entertainment's sake alone, he deserved a top mark. Now, why do I mention that? Because I think inadvertently he has summed up the day and the time. We are in an age defined by wind from Boris Johnson, wind from Priti Patel. They're all passing and in the wind. And who knows where this tornado of catastrophe is going to lead us, certainly not to the land of Oz. And it reminds me of a story in about 1189, I think. You have to check. It's at the time of Barbarossa and St. Boniface, the launch of the crusading movement. It's at a time when there were, in fact, antipopes all over the place. There was a lot of scatological humour and a lot of very nasty drawings, and the nobility had arrived for a conference with a person called Archbishop Conrad and Henry VI, and I think it was in July, in a large room in a medieval church, in a medieval monastery. And with most medieval buildings, the latrines, the loos, the toilets were on the outside of the building, and you just sort of sat in a window and defecated into the great beyond. But in monasteries that had a bit of money, they had their own special room with seats around the four corners of the chamber, and a drop into a cesspit below, which would have been cleaned out once or twice a decade. And in this particular case, it was quite full, and the nobles had eaten fully, and they were in the room above the latrines, and the floorboards gave way, and 60 of them fell through 2 floors, through the first floor, through the latrine floor, and into this putrid cesspit. And they drowned in ordure, in excrement, an excremental death in 1184. And I think about 60 of them drowned, you can imagine the muffled screams. Anyway, Archbishop Conrad and King Henry VI were perched in alcoves 2 floors up, and somehow survived the drop. And eventually ladders were raised to their aid, and they went off. I think one of them went off to the crusade, and that was that. But 60 people died in that event, and I think it reminds me a little bit of the Conservative Party.